And we're live. What's up, guys? If that is 9 people in the stream, that is fucking insane. I can't believe that's right. That's gotta be fucking wrong. If it's 9 people, seriously, that is fucking insane. Um, yeah, that's something like, what the fuck? If that's genuine, or is this YouTube just fucking about with fucking stupid numbers? It's gone to 8 now, so okay, it could be right. Anyway, guys, what's up? It's Mike. It's Tuesday night. It's live. Live stream. See how things go. I'll put a link in the description if anyone wants to jump on. I think I've already done that. No, I haven't. No, I haven't set. Sorry, I haven't done that. I'll do that now. So if anybody wants to jump on, they can. A couple of things to discuss tonight. Yeah, I just wanted to. Really, I wasn't really quite sure where to go. I mean, it's always the way. It's like, I always like to do a stream on a Tuesday night because I don't work Wednesdays. I work 6 days a week. Work overtime. I'm just like a fucking work whore trying to get money, because, you know, money's not something that's, work I'm in, it pays okay, but it doesn't pay well enough. So you have to just try and get the overtime in and, live that life of just constantly doing the overtime and 6 day weeks and shit like that, 9 hour days. It is what it is. Fuck it, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna cry like a bitch. So Wednesdays, don't work Wednesdays. So Tuesday nights, I can come on at like midnight, 12:30. Fucking late. Late as fuck. Hence why if anybody wonders why I don't pop up in the live chat on other channels, it's because I'm sleeping. You might see me like at 5:30 in the morning. Jay will know this. Jay'll stream at like, you know, crazy late times of an evening. I'll pop in, towards the end of the stream because it's like when I'm just waking up. Like like Steak Sauce. I mean, I know Steak does his like live stream at like, I think he does it at 12:30 on a Monday night, like UK time. So it's just, don't be offended if I'm not there because it's literally just, I'm work Tuesday mornings, 12:30 on a Monday night is a bad time for me. I'll catch up on the replay, but it's just one of them things. But yeah, it's one of those crazy things, it's just like, obviously, a lot of the people who in the community, like on that Eastern Coast time, and it is what it is. And I don't mind, I actually don't mind in being in line with that East Coast time because it's like when I stream on a Tuesday night or a Friday night, everybody's gone to bed in my house, so I can just like kind of like be a bit noisy, because it's at that time of the night where they've just fallen asleep. So if you're quite noisy, they don't wake up. If they've been asleep for like 7 or 8 hours, and I got up and did a live stream at like 5 in the morning and started being all noisy as fuck, they'd probably be just like wake up and go, "What the fuck are you doing, you stupid bastard?" So it kind of works out nicely. So Tuesday nights is a good night for me. Friday nights, sometimes I often like plug a live stream on a Friday night and like don't follow through with it because I like the idea of streaming on a Friday night, even though I'm work the next day. It's Friday night, and a lot of people are up late and they're not in work the next day. I do try and do a Friday night stream when possible, but it's just one of the things. I might plug it, I might put it on StreamYard, but as it gets closer to the time, if I've not had enough sleep the previous day, or you need to get a sleep before you do. If you're going to live stream at like midnight on a Friday night, if you've been in work all day, you need to try and fit just a couple of hours sleep in at some point after work. And if you can't do that, then it's not going to be a live stream. But anyway, enough of that. So yeah, it was going to be. I wasn't really sure what to talk about. Like I say, always trying to think of something to discuss with when I do a live stream every Tuesday. I had something I wanted to discuss way before tonight's stream, which I've wanted to discuss for a few days. So that was always going to be a hot topic, and I will discuss that maybe after the first topic. But Sean's in the chat. What's up, man? The older you get, the less sleep you need. Yeah, that's true. I mean, the amount of old people I know who are like in the 70s and they like sleep on like 4 hours, 5 hours tops. And yet, like young people who are like teenagers, they'll sleep for 12 hours. It's just crazy. So yeah, I wanted to discuss not just yet, maybe in a while. I wanted to discuss the YouTube removing the dislikes button, which I think is a fucking stupid idea. But I will get to that in time. I'm just, when I do like a live stream, I do like to sort of like take you know, take a like a horror website, not necessarily, not even a horror website. Usually it's a normie website where they try and like give an opinion on like horror movies. And so I've taken another one. It's Harper's Bazaar, which I think is a very, very well-to-do, well-established magazine. Who, it's not like you know a lowbrow magazine. These are very, very well established. It's a very well established magazine website, and they've given their take on the 55 scare. I think it's the scariest horror movies of all time. So it's not like necessarily the best. So if you think, well, why is that there? Why is that there? Why is that not there? It's not about the best horror films. It's about the scariest. And for someone who's like obviously like a scary movie, I thought, well, let's take a look at this website. Let's take a look at the 55 films, and let's just see how many of these films I've seen. Because I'm just wondering whether it's going to be ultra safe, with like really, really safe, normal recommendations, or is it going to be a little bit? Oh, Griffin's in the chat. Okay, we'll just we'll let Griffin add to this now. Griffin, what's up, man?
Hey, it's going okay. How you doing?
It's been a while.
Can you hear me okay?
You okay? Yeah,
Has it?
Yeah, it's been a few weeks. Yeah, it's been a good 3 weeks. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh,
damn.
I've done a couple of streams. Well, I've done one
stream. 2 streams without me?
No. Well, no. I did what I called the midnight stream, which is episode 11 tonight. Episode 10 was without you. Episode 9, you were there. I've done a couple of streams since, which were just like not really, interactive ones, where I did like I did the hottest horror girls of the 80s. That was last week.
Yeah.
Which you missed, I think.
Yeah.
Jamie
I've finally got free time. Work has slowed down considerably.
That's good. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll share this link anyway, because we can discuss it together.
Share up and pull it up.
Yeah. I'll pull it up. It's the 55 scariest horror movies of all time.
Ooh.
It's by a website called Harper's Bazaar, which is apparently I think it's a bit highbrow. It's not like a sort of like it's quite it's like top level. I'm not saying they know horror, but they are. It's not like some shitty website. This is like Vogue level of like magazine. So I'll share that, and we'll just see where we fall on some of these choices.
All right, let's get to it.
I just need to share. I never ever get used to this. Share screen.
So, I know you were part of it, but Xbox celebrated its 20th anniversary.
Yeah. I do own an Xbox, but it's just I very rarely play it now.
Pretty crazy, huh? Though.
Yeah, I've shared the screen, but it's not. Oh,
Is
wait,
this
no,
is this
sorry.
of all time or this year? Is that
No,
what this list is?
this is of all. This is meant to be of all time,
Oh, okay.
but I don't think this website is
Because
particularly
this
on
movie's
point with.
like just came out.
Oh no, this is an older version.
Oh, okay.
This is from. I'm not sure when this is from, but I think this is an old film.
That's Night
I
House. That
think
just
so.
came out.
Yeah, I know, but is this the new one then?
Yeah, it's a new film. That's a new film.
Oh right, I thought this was an older film with the same title.
No,
I've
no.
seen the night. Oh right, I've seen
Yes.
the Night House as well.
Yeah, you didn't like it.
No, she looks different in the picture. That's all.
Oh yeah, that's when she like one of the few times they catch her sleeping.
Oh, don't worry. It's not all new. It's not all new films. Yeah, I just did not recognise her in that picture at all. No, I did not like the Night House. I thought it was overrated.
What's her name? Rebecca Hall.
Yeah.
Did you ever see
might
the
not
movie
have seen. This is a Netflix.
Did you ever see the movie The Gift?
Sorry.
With Rebecca Hall and
Casey
Jason
Holmes?
Bateman. Jason Bateman.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
A while ago. Yeah.
Yeah, not the
I've
the
seen
Kate
that, yeah.
Blanchett one or the same. That was Sam Raimi.
Yeah. The one from about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen that. Yeah.
That's probably one of the better Blumhouse films.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good film.
All right. What's on this list? What are we looking at?
But you might not have seen. This is a Netflix original. This is a UK film. His House. This got rave reviews when it came out. I thought this film was overrated as hell. It's about a couple from Sudan who moved to the UK. They're asylum seekers, and they moved to like a new house and basically it's a haunted house.
Yeah.
Stroke. It's one of those type of movies where it's all like hallucinations and stuff. It got rave reviews. It's not a good film, in my opinion. I didn't like it. Some people might do. I thought it was no.
Never even heard of it.
Yeah, if it is a Netflix. If you got Netflix, you will find that film because it is an original.
Riveting commentary on a film that only one of us has seen.
Host is
Host.
Host,
yeah, that just came out too.
I really like. I like Host. Yeah, that's the COVID film. I really liked Host. I was still saying
this like a better
film, though.
Yeah. Wasn't this like the same concept?
I like. I think Unfriended is the better film.
Really?
But I liked Host. I think so.
So you like both. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, I've just got to remove something from
Man, I'm
screen,
so far behind. I didn't think this list would be full of so many recent films.
Well, I didn't. I mean, I literally just clicked on it, looking for something new, and I clicked on the first few films. I thought, well, it's got a decent mixture of stuff rather than this, the usual predictable.
Yeah.
Because I thought if it's got Host on it, at least it's a modern list and it's not a website that put the list out 5 years ago. So I thought, well, I'll go with that one. But I mean, Host, I really liked Host. I thought Host was.
I heard it was good. Was it only like 70 minutes long?
50 minutes.
An hour.
It's about 55.
Right
minutes.
below an hour.
Yeah, wow. I'm not even sure if you could class it as an actual film. I think as a film got to be over so many minutes long.
I thought it was like it has to be. I thought it had to be at least an hour.
Yeah, I thought that.
I could be wrong.
Yeah. Where's Lauren? Hope, we'll wait for Lorne to correct us. So next up is oh god, Candyman, Jesus Christ.
Candyman, the original.
I know you're probably, so you love Clive Barker, right?
You're a big I like. I haven't read everything. I haven't read everything he's done, right. But I enjoy his stuff.
I just know you. I know you're a big fan of like obviously horror novels.
Mm-hmm.
So you're probably more clued up with the. Is the novelization? Have you read the novelization of Candyman?
It was based on a short story by him. It was in the Books of Blood.
Yeah,
and it took place in
Liverpool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
That's who I know, because that's where I'm from.
So what do you think of the OG Candyman? This is the original.
I'm not see, I respect the film, but I'm not a fan of like urban. This is like ultra urban horror. You know, it's just like, I like suburban horror. I like backwoods horror, like high school, college horror. But like, this is like horror in the inner city, and to me, it doesn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan of like that ultra urban setting for a slasher film. It just feels off to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if, imagine Halloween was set in Cabrini Green. It would just be weird. It just wouldn't feel right to me. So I mean, I appreciate. I think I appreciate it. I think I respect it more than I like it.
Okay.
Because I do, I respect the cinematography and I respect, the acting, but the storyline it leaves me cold. I'll be honest.
Yeah, it's a bleak film.
It is. Next up is a film I have not seen. It's
Relic. That's a good one. Well, I'll just give my quick thoughts on the original Candyman. I think it's great. I think, like you said, I think it works on all levels. I think it's well acted. I think it's well directed. Tony Todd is incredible in it. Like his vocal range is masterful. Like the way it pulls you in. I love how the film is almost like a dream. I really like how it's kind of like a reality. Is this reality or is this just fantasy? No, is this I enjoy that kind of head turn movie, twisty, turny. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good.
Have you seen the remake? I mean, when I say remake, I mean so you haven't
seen No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen past the first film.
No, I haven't. I haven't seen the sequel, or I had no desire to see it. Just because if the first film was okay for me, but why would I want to see a sequel if it wasn't really that
huge on the first?
Yeah, and let's face it, the sequel was never going to match the first film anyway. So why would I even bother?
Yeah, you can skip them, just like I have.
Next up is a film I've never heard of.
Well, going back to the last one, Relic. I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, I need to watch Relic.
It's a slow horror film, but I really enjoyed it. I quite enjoyed that one. I thought that was a really good character study mixed with horror. I thought it was.
Yeah,
I would say it was super scary, but it had its moments. But it was overall, it was good.
I mean, really, like at our point now, we're like at our age as well, where we've seen pretty much what's to offer. What really scares us anyway, it's more a case of being surprised. I think just being surprised by something new. I mean, like, being scared is not really something I anticipate now in a film. It's more like being shocked, maybe, or being surprised.
You ever been unnerved?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the last time I was genuinely unnerved by a film, I think, was a Serbian film. just the whole film is it's not scary. It's just the whole thing is just unnerving, and the baby scene. I won't go into. I don't want to get channel demonetized, not to get demonetized, get taken down. I don't
Shut
want to just
down.
go.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into like saying certain phrases, but a certain scene in that film is just one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And we Lorne, myself, Jess, a few other people, Sam, and we just shot Jewel.
Mhm.
You were on an episode of that, weren't you?
Yeah. I was on the first
Yeah,
episode.
yeah. We talked about a film called Found from 2014.
Oh, Found. Is
Yeah,
that the
yeah.
one where someone's disappeared?
It's no, it's where there's a brother. He's like 13 years old, 14 years old, and he thinks his older brother's like a serial killer.
Oh, okay. No,
But he is a serial killer. He is a killer, and it's a pretty fucked up film. But I didn't find it that disturbing, and I was going into it expecting to be really, it to be like a really disturbing experience.
Mhm.
And I watched it and I thought, yeah, it's a little bit messed up, but compared to a Serbian film, this was like, watching Sesame Street.
Oh, wow.
It was just like not on the same level. But it was a good film. It was the only thing, it suffered from a really, really low budget. I think that Lord's probably going to upload that episode tomorrow of
Mhm.
Jewel, so you can check that out anyway. But
All right. The film, I've seen this film. This is an English title of it is The Vanishing.
oh, hang on a minute, I have seen this film.
Now,
It's
it was
amazing. It's
remade.
amazing. No, it's amazing. I didn't know. Sorry, when it said
Yeah.
Spoilers, The Vanishing. I've seen The Vanishing. It's incredible.
Yeah,
Amazing film.
this is a
The black
bleak
and white
film.
photo as well.
This one
Oh,
actually was pretty creepy. This one was actually it was a
the
great
final.
it was the final scene. We don't want
Yeah,
I'm not don't ruin it, but it's
I
like
won't ruin it.
it'll leave your jaw open. Your jaw will be open. You'll be like, "Oh my god."
I nearly
And they
just completely.
yeah, the
Sorry.
director, the same director of this version of the French Belgium, was it? I believe is. Anyways, he remade it into American film like
Yeah.
4 years later with
Jeff Bridges.
Jeff
Oh,
Bridges, Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
I've not seen the remake. It can't be as good. It can't be as good as this.
No. I mean, it's very 90s thriller.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like The Good Son, or it tries to be like a Good Son or Misery. It really tries to be like Misery.
Yeah. I mean, that title completely threw me because I was thinking, what is this film? And then when you mentioned The Vanishing, I was like, oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, they're going real hipster by having it just the foreign language title.
Well, they're doing it again now because I've no idea what this film is. La Llorona. It's
that's based on
the
Ghost.
I have no idea what this film is.
Haven't seen it.
No.
What's next?
I have no idea what this is either.
God. Oh wow!
It's on Shudder apparently.
They're doing some deep cuts on this thing.
See, they mentioned Dark and the Wicked, which I've seen.
Oh,
which I thought was
big
overrated,
crack rocks in the chat.
Oh, big crack. Are we supposed to thumbs down the street? No, big crack dog.
Do it.
No. Yeah. I was. The whole point was it was like I was gonna talk about the YouTube removing dislikes from YouTube channels, which I thought was fucking ridiculous.
Their reasoning is terrible.
Oh, it is absolutely.
And they're like, it'll hurt smaller channels.
Oh no,
I don't think it's really going to play that big of a factor.
That's why you're doing it.
Yeah.
No.
Well, they keep using that excuse of it'll hurt the smaller channels. It's like, sure. Totally believe that.
So here's a film which I think
Oh yeah.
Like this is a controversial statement. Controversial statement. I think this film is overrated. I think this film maybe because it's groundbreaking, maybe is put on a pedestal, maybe too
Do you
highly.
dislike it because of it's so highly rated?
I just, it's a good question. Possibly, I just, I think this is the third best of the Dead series. I think a lot of people would agree with me on that. I think a lot of people would. When I say I go with dawn, then day, then night, I think a lot of people would say the same thing. Where would you stand on the?
I would actually go. I would go different. I would go night, day, and then dawn.
All right, okay,
And I liked all three of them.
yeah.
I think this film's great. I love how this film is what really kind of we wouldn't have like I don't think we would have like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween if it wasn't for this film. I think this film was a ground.
Oh,
This one laid the foundation for
I
films
would
like that to be.
absolutely. I would never try and like take away from
Well,
what this film did, but it's kind of it's almost in the same way with Psycho.
mhm.
You know, so,
It's so
often
well known.
it's so well known, it's so
It,
groundbreaking that sometimes does it maybe get higher ranking on lists because of it was the first to do something. Because I'd always put Halloween ahead of Psycho any day of the week, personally.
mhm.
But a lot of people, maybe an older generation before me, would probably. I'd actually like to know Lorne's opinions on whether he put
Yeah, I'm
Psycho.
curious if he would say Psycho is
I
better
wonder if
than.
it put Psycho ahead of Halloween. I'm not sure. Or would he put Halloween ahead of Jason X?
I'm curious if he would
I'm,
put
I'm
Halloween
placing the bait
above
there.
Psycho.
Yeah.
Lauren, are you watching? Let us
I'm,
know.
I'm putting baits in the water, thinking if he jumps on, I'm just like putting bait in there to try and get
Okay.
him to bite. Okay, well, let's move on to
Oh,
Psycho.
there it is. There it
There it
is.
is.
Another
The first,
groundbreaking film.
the first was it the first movie to ever mention the word toilet, or was it the
The
first film
show a
to ever
toilet.
show a toilet? Okay,
I
is
believe
this
it's showing a toilet flushing.
is this just an American cinema, or surely UK did this before that? I can't imagine the UK was that like so sensitive to not show a toilet. I can't imagine that.
I, I
Possibly.
I'm well. I mean, Hitchcock was he was English, so
I know Hitchcock was American, wasn't he?
no, he was British.
Was he?
Yeah,
Oh, of course, he moved to America.
yeah. He moved
Yeah,
to America. He did his
yeah.
first
So yeah.
like dozen films
Um,
in.
you know what? I'm getting mixed up with Kubrick.
Oh yeah.
Because Kubrick,
He was
the
American, moved to
yeah,
Britain.
yeah,
The opposite. And then
yeah,
Hitchcock was from Britain, moved
yeah.
over to America.
I think they kind of like moved across the pond, probably at a similar time. So because I think Hitchcock
Yeah,
and
that's about
Kubrick,
right.
they're probably like Hitchcock was older than Kubrick, but obviously both you know getting by our standards old guys now, obviously long dead, but I think Kubrick probably moved across to the UK at a similar time that Hitchcock probably moved across to the US because Kubrick
I think
was
you might be right.
I think Kubrick moved to the UK in the 60s. And I don't,
Yeah. I think he moved to the UK in the '60s, and I think Hitchcock in the '50s.
yeah. So
Although I know he did. I don't know if he moved there in the '50s as well. No, because he did. Well, maybe. I know because his first few films were with United Artists. His first two films were American, I believe, and then he
yeah,
moved like in the '60s probably. So they probably about the same time.
obviously talking about Stanley Kubrick,
Oh,
The Shining,
there. Oh
1980.
my gosh, how are you predicting this?
This,
But
by the way, this is not in any sort of order. So this is just like 55 random films. It's not like to
this
say
is
that The
random.
Shining is. It's not meant to say The Shining is better than Psycho, or it's just basically took 55 films and put them all together. So there's no rhyme or reason to it. So yeah, don't look at it as this kind of countdown. It's basically 55 films. But yeah, The Shining obviously definitely got to be in there. But um,
It's hard to go against it
no, and I
unless you're the
say
writer.
I've never I've never done a deep dive into The Shining because people have spent like hours and hours and hours looking at this film and trying to read into like all the little supposed hidden meanings.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's who's to say that Stanley Kubrick wasn't just trolling people and just putting stuff in for the sake of it, just for a joke, and people are spending their entire lives just looking for. Because obviously you've seen the stories about like the Kubrick did the moon landings.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
it's
come
pretty
on,
hilarious.
seriously. I mean, I like a conspiracy theory, but the fact that they go to a Hollywood director to ask him to do it for them, no, I'm not buying that.
Yeah, I don't think that really holds anymore. But The Shining is an incredible film. It's one of the first horror films I ever saw, and it scared the
Yeah.
hell out of me. I mean, it
So next
legitimately
up,
scared the hell out of me was The Shining. And go back to Psycho. I think Psycho's a great film. I think it's got some excellent performances. The only really weak part of Psycho is really the ending with the psychiatrist having to explain everything. It's the
yeah,
only really part of Psycho that I think is weaker than the rest. But Anthony Perkins was pretty freaking incredible. I think I and everybody else thought that he was really psycho.
So thoughts on Get Out?
Get Out.
I like
It
this
was okay.
film. Yeah, I don't think it deserved quite the sort of adoration it got. I think a lot of that was down to Jordan Peele as a director, and I think maybe more was made about the whole race thing at the time. Is kind of like maybe pushed it more to like the forefront of like everyone's minds. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like the film. But I actually prefer Us. Now I know Us from Jordan Peele. It's it makes less sense. I mean, the ending of that film just I can't quite get my head around how he's. It's a lot more ambiguous. This film makes a lot more sense, but I actually prefer Us to Get Out. But I do
Mm-hmm.
like this film. I think you know, there are a few creepy moments, like the scene where he's just stood, like I think he stood in like a garden, and like the gardener, he just starts running towards him at
Oh
full
yeah.
pelt, and it's just like it's such a strange scene. You're like, what the fuck is going on? What? And he just runs to it and then just turns away. That's a genuinely sort of like unsettling scene for me because you're just not quite sure what on earth's going on. But the more they get, the more at least with this film now, the more they explain, the more the film makes sense. I think with Us, although I like the film more, the more they try to explain, the less things make sense, and I just can't quite get my head around this whole, underworld tethered people. It doesn't make any sense to me, and it's just you know. But I do like the film. I really like. I love the first hour of that film. The
Mm-hmm.
last like sort of 40 minutes just kind of
Goes all
takes
over
it
the place.
away. But Paranormal Activity,
Paranormal
I don't know.
Activity.
I mean, I
This
don't know
one I
why
think
this
is
film's
pretty
on the list. To be honest.
overrated. I think this
Yeah,
one's
I
really
do.
overrated.
I don't think it's doing anything new. This is
No.
the found footage genre, like kind of been established for a few years at this point, and this is just I've never really got. I the If you've seen one Paranormal Activity film, you've seen the first one. Do you really need to put yourself through another like 5 or 6 of them? I
Did they
don't
make like a? Did
personally.
they make a new one? They made a new one this
Yeah,
year.
there's a new one, so that's like what, like 7?
Yeah.
Is it 7 or 8 films? I just, I don't get it. I've never really got how they became so popular.
It's usually like the really young people around my age, in their 20s, really dig that shit.
Well, this is 14 years old, this film, so
Well, like when I was in high school, this film was like, or when did this come out?
2007.
Okay, yeah, that was like right at the end.
Right, okay, so I feel old now. Because I was 31 when this film came out. So yeah, that makes me feel really old.
Damn.
Oh, classic Blair Witch Project, 99.
There it is. This one's better than the other one. I prefer this.
So how old were you when this came out?
How old do you think?
Hang on, see, about like 8.
Oh, hey,
9?
Lauren's trying to get in.
10?
Lauren's trying to get in.
Oh, okay, sorry. All right, okay.
He wants he's taking a bait.
There he is. Sorry. Right, I'll just close that off now. Okay. Have I had it?
Is he there? Oh,
there he is.
Uh-oh.
What's up, man?
What is this insanity saying Halloween is better than Psycho as a film?
So you were watching?
You have to be. I was sleep watching because I'm extraordinarily tired. But I support you, man. I try and catch these things.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, but you're insane if you prefer Halloween to Psycho. That's just.
I was genuinely curious because I wasn't quite sure where you stood with. Obviously, I know you like Halloween, obviously, but I think Halloween being the game changer that it is.
So we got to be careful there, though, because like it feels like that to a generation, but Psycho was a way bigger game changer for the genre as a whole. Psycho was the film that took the Gothic castles and threw them over the shoulder and said, no, just outside of the big city on that road that used to be a highway, there's this hotel, and that's where the real horror is happening today. And that was horror that people could believe in because it was loosely based on Ed Gein, of course, but there really are the kind of terrors that are in Psycho in the real world, whereas Dracula and Frankenstein you didn't really have to worry about. And Psycho was the film that really broke through. It wasn't the first film by a long shot to do what it was doing. I mean, in 1936 you have Maniac, which is a horrible film, but it covers some of the same territory. But Psycho was just the first classic film to bring horror into the modern living room. And so you just don't get Halloween without Psycho for a million reasons. But beyond that, I agree with Griffin that the final scene of the psychiatrist explaining the whole plot is pretty weak sauce compared to the rest of the film before it. But I don't think there's a bad moment in Psycho before that. I mean, I think that it's all pretty excellent. Psycho, maybe one of those movies that broaches that perfect film category that I don't think exists. Halloween I like a lot, but it's not a perfect film. There's plenty of shit in Halloween that doesn't actually work. It's just that the film has a certain mesmeric power that you forgive it because you're into it and you're kind of terrified of that film the first time you see it. But I think beat for beat, Psycho is a way better film.
I agree.
I'm not trying to convince you of anything, man. If you like Halloween, then love you know that.
No, I mean, I
whatever
think,
brings joy.
well, I think one of the things that when it comes to watching old films, which before your time, like so films you watch way before you were born or which were released when you were still a kid. So Halloween was a film that I watched as a 10-year-old.
Hey,
So had a massive impact on me.
hey,
Sure.
Lauren, how old were you when you saw Psycho when it first came out?
I've told this story many times. Yeah, no, I wasn't around when Psycho was originally released.
He's not that old. Good.
No, not quite. but
I'm just making a point.
I had to have been either 6 or 7 when it was on television in the middle of the day, and my mother sat me down in front of the television and said, "You're going to really like this," and walked away. And I watched Psycho as a very young child. And she was right, but it did, of course, have the effect on me you'd expect. I wasn't okay with, Marion Crane dying when she dies. I wasn't okay with all the uneasy stuff. The detective's murderer scene, I remember being really shocking to me at that age. I think maybe Halloween is an analog for a generation, but I also think that it's a big shame if you can't appreciate Psycho for the monster that it is.
I mean, a character in Halloween is called Sam Loomis.
For a reason. Yeah.
And what?
And they cast
Tommy
Julie
Doyle.
Roberts.
Tommy Doyle is in Rear Window. Like one of the characters in Rear Window is Tommy Doyle.
Yeah. And of course, casting Jamie Lee Curtis is not exactly a subtle hint about where it was at either.
Thank Deborah Hill for that.
Yeah.
Just going back to was saying about just seeing Halloween now as a 10-year-old. Do you think it makes a difference? Like to see for me to see Psycho was like I was probably like 20, 21, 22. To see it film as an adult as opposed to like seeing a film as a 10-year-old, it does have more of an impact as a kid. I always say it's like watching, even though horror films are meant for like people over a certain age, you kids should be seeing like the best horror films at a really, really young age, because you'll never ever experience the impact of a film like that as an adult. If you understand what I'm trying to say, it's like
I completely agree, man. I mean, but I'd back up a little bit, because there's plenty of time to get to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because that film's still gonna have that guttural punch.
I was just about to cite that title.
Well into your 20s or even 30s, right? But something like Them or The Creature That Challenged the World, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these are films that when you see them as a kid, you have a deeper appreciation because they were made for a younger audience. So I almost feel like we should be herding kids towards the stuff that they'll enjoy the most in the time period, because they'll get. I think by the time you're 13, Friday the 13th, Halloween, all that stuff makes great sense. But the primer for that is definitely, I think, all the Universal monsters and the giant bug movies of the 50s and all of that is a great primer to get you into the genre, because I think it's the right age group.
Yeah. When you said Them, I thought you were talking about the 2007 French film, which is amazing. I was
Hills?
Hills, yeah. That is
Hills is an amazing film. But
incredible film.
I'm not sure I'd put a 7-year-old in front of that film.
Maybe not. Far better
But then
than
again, I could never be a parent, so maybe I would. I don't know.
Hey, if it wasn't for some 13-year-old watching Them, we wouldn't have gotten Aliens from that director.
Yeah, well, the world's not a perfect place. it's funny. This list I think has some like really legitimate titles on it, and the other ones that I think are on for relevance sake, and that's fine. But it's interesting though, because I am yet to see anything on the list that it comes from really the golden age of horror. It's all silver and bronze and modern.
Yeah, a lot of recent titles.
Yeah, and that's. I wonder if it was a print magazine rather than an online site.
I think, well, Harper. I literally just I was curious to get like a sort of like a feel like what the mainstream thinks of like horror, and I literally just googled top biggest horror movies of all time, and in that first page it tends to bring up like normie websites, and Harper's Bazaar I think is like quite a highbrow mainstream website, and I thought, well, I won't see what they put. I'll save it, bookmark it, and I'll just go through it and see what I've seen.
Well, I didn't mean to hijack. So.
Oh no! That's okay.
Well, hijack us.
No. What I mean is, it's just like I was curious to see, like in terms of what they would consider, and it was meant to be scariest and not best. So I mean,
but
fair play. They go for scariest and not best, but
if they're going for scariest, though, to me, like they're really off the mark pretty horrifically already. Because I mean, to me, things like Haunting of Julia, Don't Look Now, films like that.
I with this list, I bet they would have at least Don't Look Now on it, because they put The Vanishing, the original.
Yeah. But I would just say that even like television movies like Don't Go to Sleep are like legitimately scary films. Whereas when we talk about horror, we're not usually just talking about things that scare us, and that's why I would argue that some of our favorite horror films don't even attempt to scare us. So it's interesting. I don't know.
A lot of people just kind of going for the thrill, not really, because a lot of these films that like Don't Look Now or Haunting of Julia, they're very personal films. They're not. They're films that are closer to reality, whereas
right.
Although a guy wearing a mask killing people, back in the 70s and 80s, but now it's kind of, I don't know. Would you say it's a little passe now?
Well, again, I think that whole slasher genre thing was born out of the late 70s explosion of urban violence in the suburbs. There was this, for the first time, we were getting news broadcasts out of our inner cities of what that violence really looked like. And it was spilling over, for the first time. And so we tend to get these human monsters for the first time wearing very blank, expressionless masks so they could be anyone, which is the point. It was the fear that someday your neighbor wakes up and they could do a horrible thing to you, which was not the 1950s norm at all, right? We were worried about them becoming communists, not them coming over and hacking us to pieces.
Or big bugs.
But yeah, exactly. Well, which was the nuclear fear, right? The early arms race. But then you have like late 60s, 1969 comes, Manson murders. You had suburban kids, runaways, committing horrific murders. And then through the 70s, you have race riots. You have, cities going bankrupt. You have just all these horrific urban events that are now being beamed into suburban homes, which was not part of the experience. And of course, art always catches up to reality eventually. Cycled down through the horror film and distilled in the form of a Michael Myers or a Jason Voorhees, right? I think that's a very legitimate thing, but I think today's fears are not really about urban violence anymore. I think we went through a period of incredible calm in most of our big cities before, very recently, perhaps. But I just don't think the average American is really worried about those same fears. So the paradigm needs to switch. We got ghost movies back because they seem to be the palate cleanser through all the different movements. We keep going back to the sins of the fathers, which is really the whole ghost thing. So.
In terms of Halloween Kills, box office wise, it's doing pretty well, isn't it? It's doing pretty well.
Depends how you want to look at it.
I've not really followed the American box office, but I know in the UK, I think it's done fairly decent money. But obviously, the Americans, where it matters. Obviously, in the US, that's where the major money is. But
hey, the new Bond movie's been doing pretty kick ass over there, across the pond.
Yeah,
it's still making money, which is I didn't think it would.
The thing about Halloween Kills you got to keep in mind is so it's ending its theatrical run in America this Thursday, so in just a couple days, right? It will have made about $95 million. Now, if you compare that to budget, it's a big success. However, you compare it to 2018, which made $160 million in its run. This thing did about 52% of the business of the previous film. Any film that does only half the business of its predecessor, you have to question how big a success that is for that franchise. Because that's the other thing. Like when people invest in films, if you invest in a new project out of the blue that doesn't exist before, there's no certainty of what your return is, right? But when you are backing the sequel to a film that made $160 million off of an $18 million budget, there's a certain expectation of return there, right? Like any investment. 50% drop or 48% drop in the case of Halloween Kills. It's a warning. It's definitely saying that it's not invulnerable. And people will always say that I keep hearing the argument that, yeah, but it hit streaming same day and it probably got subscriptions. So other films that have done the same release strategy have not seen the kind of effect that Halloween Kills had. So I think partially word of mouth was the issue. Of course, it was a very divisive film among the fan base. But the bigger issue, the much bigger issue, is that every 10 years, the mainstream wants to watch Michael Myers kill people. And they'll go another decade before they really want to see it again. It's only the horror fans who really value seeing a new film every couple of years from this franchise. And I think that if you look at the franchise's history, that bears out pretty remarkably consistently.
It's funny you say that. Scream 5 drops in 2022. Mm-hmm. Scream 4 dropped 11 years ago.
It's a good sign for Scream. But there was a television series in there, but yeah, I think there is something to be said about absence. Even the Friday 13th remake, for instance, caught on for the mainstream for its opening weekend anyway. Because you forget how big of an opening weekend that was. It was a $60 million out the door weekend, which was huge at that time. But it had been how long since Friday had come out? And the last thing before that was Freddy vs. Jason, which was a humongous film. But it had been years. I think the whole like 80s, let's pump one of these out a year, whether it's Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday 13th. That's as dead as it gets. You can't do that stuff. Even if you look at It Chapter 2, like that needed a longer break. And also needed a good film. But
a little more time in the oven.
Time to replace some key creative people, maybe. But no, I think when we talk about numbers like $160 million off of an $18 million budget, like Halloween 2018 did, that wasn't because of quality of the film. It was because of just pent up demand in the mainstream for that film. Kills didn't have that same pent up demand.
Just staying on the Halloween franchise, just briefly.
He wants me to leave. That's what he wants.
Now, I want to get your take on this, Lon. So, Ends drops 2022.
Not a guarantee at all. They're talking about 2023 pretty solid.
Okay. And there's a 4-year time jump between Kills
5
and
years.
Ends.
5
years. Yeah. So Michael's going to be like, what, 67? How old is Michael Myers going to be at this point? Gee, he's going to have a Zimmer frame at this point. Okay, let's just completely ignore that anyway. So
basically, they need Allison to come back from college.
So yeah, Alison looks. She's like she's nearly 30 now.
Yeah, I know.
She does. She looks great. Anyway, bypass that. Your opinion, Griffin's opinion. After Halloween ends, what sort of time period are we looking before they reboot it again? In what
Couple
way are
years.
they going to reboot it? And okay,
Couple
so
years. Couple of years for television series. That's it.
which direction will they go in?
Couple years television series. That's it.
Television series going back to 78 or?
I don't know. Honestly, I think ends will probably determine, like what ends does will determine how ambitious the television property is. But it'll go to see, the thing about television is that now it becomes a streaming entity and a streaming IP, and you can turn that into a bigger money machine than an individual film. And so I don't think it'll. I think you will get a theatrical Halloween again after Halloween ends, but it'll be years after the television thing is done.
So
It's just the best business model they could come up with.
all right, I have a Halloween versus Psycho comparison again.
Okay.
Psycho remake versus Halloween remake.
Oh, fuck you. They make a thing called a razor blade in a bathtub.
So Joseph
Gus
Death.
Van Sant made a perfectly fine film that's absolutely pointless. There's nothing bad about his film. It's just, why does it need to exist when you have the original?
Same with Halloween.
No, Halloween, Zombies Halloween is just a huge miscalculation. Like, it's handed to someone who you think sounds like will steward the franchise because he obviously loves it, but in reality, it's like he basically just made a Devil's Rejects film. I mean, it's basically what happened.
All right,
I just
there
wonder,
you go.
I just wonder, like Rob Zombie's Halloween movies are going to be gain some sort of cult status.
No.
I've seen
in
it.
years to come.
Okay, from like people around my age, I guess.
I've seen it though. I've seen people in lieu of the two new films start to really praise the zombie films. But this happens with that franchise.
Yeah, it
People
happens with
forget
any franchise, yeah.
the fifth film came out, was not very popular. It has had found its fan base. The sixth film was hated across the board by just about everyone, and now is like a cult favorite, which I still don't understand. But it hasn't happened for Resurrection, of course. But
no, that's never going to happen.
No, I don't.
Just can't see it. But I think we discussed this in the last stream or a stream or two ago, where H2O seems to have really sort of gained a lot of love in the last few years. I know you like H2O, London.
I do like H2O.
It's gained. I think it was on a bit initial release. Maybe I think with H2O, it was liked. I think it was liked upon release, then went through a bit of a downturn where people were like hating on it, and I think it's kind of being reassessed, and people are starting to like really appreciate the film again. I mean, I'm not a massive fan of the film, but
you're dead on. Listen, H2O, it might be the film that breaks the George Lucas rule. Maybe someone should go back to that film and use modern CGI to replace all the masks into one good-looking CGI mask. And then people would shut up about the shortcomings of the film. Because other than that, and how the dialogue is written, which is, it's that Gilmore Girls quippiness, which we associate with the Scream films and the Scream ripoffs. But even that doesn't really bother me because kids were pretty vapid at the time, so sure, whatever. And I think there's enough legitimately great in that film. I love that it has a very small body count like the original film. I really like that. They didn't feel a need to just have Michael tear through the whole school. You know, I think
he's barely in the film for the first like 50 odd minutes.
That's true. The original film.
He appears, yeah, but even in this film, he appears in like hallucinations from Laurie. Like she thinks she sees him.
Yeah, well, at least that makes sense. Unlike the fourth film, where the daughter hallucinates about an uncle she's never actually seen.
Uncle?
Uncle Boogeyman? No one talks like that.
Don't you love that writing?
I don't know. I don't even know what to say. I mean, I'm a big.
Should have just got Etchinson to write those.
He would have done it too.
Poor Etchinson.
Oh, well, he's in the chat. What's up, Anthony?
I'm sure those did pretty well, though. Those Halloween novelizations must have sold pretty. Like,
I think he got a flat fee for writing them, though.
Oh, okay.
That's how the novelizations usually aren't. There's usually not royalties involved.
But that's what he says. Sorry. Just Anthony says, I have heard Silent Night, Deadly Night is getting a remake for 2022.
Did they remake that?
Yeah.
Well, they probably have. They're probably doing it again.
Yeah.
Malcolm McDowell was in that one too.
Oh my God, Malcolm.
Pretty sure.
Malcolm McDowell is either like one of the best actors of his generation. He's one of the worst. He goes from like sublime to ridiculous.
Milk Money.
Films about. There's no quality control with Malcolm McDowell. He'll do
Tank Girl.
Oh my God. It's like, yeah, we'll give you.
Ice-T plays a half kangaroo, half man in Tank Girl. There's nothing wrong with that.
Who gives a fuck about that?
Fuck him for Halloween. I mean, making Loomis, an unapologetic arsehole. Fuck him. I can't. It's not his fault. It's not his fault.
No. And the editing in that film is so friggin' weird that you can't tell what the performance was meant to be. I mean, there's no context. There's no to anything that happens in either of the Rob Zombie films. Things just happen. There's no narrative really, if you think about it.
Have you ever seen like a director's interview where he explains what he was actually going for with the film?
I don't think I care.
Like,
he's never explained it.
He never explained like why Michael walks out with no mask on half the time, so you can see his face, and why is he 7 foot tall?
He always goes back to the justification that I was doing something different. That's what he falls back on every single time.
Cool.
There you go.
Listen, the people who love the Rob Zombie Halloween, I'm glad for him. I really am. I don't like those movies, but then again, I don't like Resurrection. I don't like the new 2018. I don't like Kills. I don't like Curse. And I don't really like Part 4. I know people get all pearl clutchy about that, but I think it's kind of a bad film. So there's more Halloween films I don't like than do like at this point, and it's not a ringing endorsement. It's not quite Children of the Corn levels, but it's getting there. They keep making these things. It might get there.
Would you rather watch Psycho 3 and 4 over Halloween 4, 6?
Oh, Psycho 3, sure.
Sure. So do you like 5? Do you like Halloween 5?
I love Halloween 5.
Oh,
for what it is.
Halloween 5 is like the Jason X of the Halloween franchise.
I don't think that's apt.
I think it wants to be a fairy tale, and it's trying to make the Halloween thing into a modern fairy tale. And it's pretty explicit when you watch it with the right mindset about what they're doing. But I mean, they recreate both the classic scene of Sleeping Beauty and the classic Rapunzel sequence in the film. Like, the images are just blazing there. There's all kinds of references to fairy tales in costumes. Michael Myers' mask is meant to be a handsome man now, because it's the whole Prince Charming thing. But it's an ambitious film for what it tried to do that was underdone by not enough time, not enough money, and way too quick. They had quick of a turnaround. They should have let the idea have a little bit more time to develop.
It was 12 months. It was literally 12 months, wasn't it? 88, 89.
Yeah, it's
So,
I'm not defending the shortcomings of the film for those reasons, but I do think that the film was trying to bring out something different. It definitely is a great looking film. I don't understand when anyone says that it looks cheap, which I've heard as a complaint. It is probably the most lush looking film in the franchise. So I don't get that at all. It's a great looking film.
Doesn't take much to have a good eye. Doesn't cost that much.
No.
If you look at 1989, it was I think I've mentioned this before again, but if you look at 89, Jason Takes Manhattan, Halloween 5, and Friday Part 5, I think I'm right in saying. Every film came out with it.
It's
89, yeah.
Manhattan, Dream Child, and
yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of like the death knell for all three franchises within the space of like 6 months, because, you know, Jason Goes to Hell was a 4-year gap, and it never really it was it was something totally different and never really worked. Whatever your opinions on Jason Goes to Hell are, that 4-year gap really hurt the franchise. Freddy Goes to Hell, Freddy's Dead, sorry. It was a horrendous film, 90s film, and obviously Halloween was a 6-year wait then.
We might be beckoning
It
was
the end of it. It was the end. 89 was like the end of an era, really, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Literally in terms of a decade, and it did feel like the end of an era in terms of slasher films.
I don't think it's too far of a cry to realize that the biggest hit in the genre of 1990 was Tremors. So which was a throwback to the big monsters of the 50s. So what you had is like the slasher thing had gone as far as it possibly could. There was nothing more to wring out of it, and we went back to a comfort place. We went back to the big bugs basically. Again, there's palate cleaners in the genre, and there was other things going on. I mean, you have Jacob's Ladder, and you have some other things going on in 1991.
Silence of the Lambs was massive.
Sure. But again,
yeah.
But again, I wouldn't call Silence of the Lambs a slasher film. So I think the slasher thing was just done. I think it needed a rest, and it got a rest because all the attempts to keep it going in the 90s pretty much fell on their face until you get to Scream and H2O and some of the other big ones at the very tail end of the decade.
So, quick question: did Japan really make any slasher, like straight slasher films?
So there's not a tradition of what we call slasher cinema in Japan. More recently there's started to become, but no, I mean, but then again, look what their films are more about the changing nature of their societies. It's that whole, again, sins of the father thing. That's why ghosts are so important, especially female ghosts, because of course they completely repressive society towards women for so long. So like those themes are still working themselves out. Whereas we really don't have that tradition, actually, thinking about it. We don't really explore. I mean, maybe Beloved would be the closest thing, of course, but Toni Morrison was brilliant, of course. So, if you haven't seen Beloved, because you think it's some kind of historical drama, it is a straight-up horror film that you'll love. Just rent Beloved.
That was sold as a historical drama.
Yeah. But opens with the family dog being thrown around a house by an invisible force until its eye pops out of its skull because it hits a wall so hard.
Gotta love marketing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Okay. Another topic I wanted to. I'm glad you're here, Lauren, actually, because you're obviously a YouTuber with a lot more subscribers than I've got. But something I wanted to cover is I just wanted, have a little discussion about this, but now you're here.
Oh, the
Um,
dislike.
Just your opinion on YouTube removing dislikes from videos. I just think this is like an idiotic take by YouTube, and I just thought someone like who's got a bigger channel who operates, who's probably used to getting occasional dislikes, because I'm so insignificant that it wouldn't even affect me. But for someone like yourself who's got nearly 1,000 subscribers, you occasionally get
I don't have thousands of subscribers.
no, but nearly 1,000 subscribers.
Oh.
And in terms of, so,
Okay.
in terms of if you upload a video, you might get occasional dislikes and
Oh yeah, no, it
yeah.
happens.
So, but YouTube's
So,
excuse
listen.
well, we're trying to protect.
All this is about is the increased presence of big corporations with YouTube presences, and they don't want dislikes when they're selling Coca-Cola.
Exactly. That was my take on it.
Drink the new recipe, damn it.
Right. So they don't want, because when companies, and even like, again, the major distributors of films were getting ratioed out of existence because a bad trailer hit, it hurt the bottom line. And YouTube, as a partner, they leaned on them and they got their way. It doesn't have anything to do with people like us.
Yeah.
I didn't care. Listen, when I get a dislike, it's because I put an honest opinion out there that someone disagrees with. So it means something different than if you downvote a huge corporation. I actually think it's a healthy thing to have a dislike here or there. I think it means you're being genuine.
The fact that they said that, well, it's to protect, like uploaders, creators, but the fact that they can still see the downvote in the analytics anyway, kind of, makes that point obsolete, because if you can still see the downvote in the analytics, you're not protecting anybody. And the whole idea is, obviously, if you take away the downvote as a legitimate reason to like dislike something, people will obviously stop disliking videos, because if they can't see a physical,
it's going to encourage people to comment more.
Well, that's
people will start upvoting comments which are critical of the video they want to downvote. So if they can't downvote a video, they'll comment, and people will upvote that comment, which is just going to cause. So what next? So they're just going to disable comments on, because they've already done that on numerous videos across YouTube. If it's getting ratioed to hell, and if it's getting down, if the comment section is just,
you got to remember that, like, our community, it was never the intent of YouTube.
Yeah,
they never meant it as a free speech platform. Yeah, in the very beginning, it was like people uploading their dog doing a stupid trick. I get it, but at a certain point, that was just bait to get companies to come on and provide real comments, and companies to be created to create comments. But it was never about people who wanted to build a community of people who have a similar interest. This was never a meetup. This was always about monetizing content. They don't really care about us, so they're not going to. None of the policies are created around us, and that's good. Let me tell you something. A lot of people have a lot of problems with YouTube's changing all kinds of stuff. You know where I don't care? Because I didn't get into this to try and be the most popular guy on YouTube. I didn't get. I've made a public statement that I will never monetize my channel. Right? It's never going to happen. It's not a goal for me. Is 1,000 subscribers a goal? Sure. I mean, but it's not for that reason, because I won't monetize at that point. I wanted to see if it was possible to reach people. Now, I want to sell books too, mind you. But if you're part of the community and you enjoy the what's out there, maybe you're intense. Maybe you are enticed to buy a book and read a book. But even if those people don't want to do that, my question was, can we build a community? I think we've done it. I think there's a lot of room for growth still. We've reached, like, Griffiths is in Kentucky. I'm in New Jersey. You're in England. We would never have come together without this experiment. Never. So, uh, am I going to get upset that they're changing things to benefit the large corporations? No, as long as they leave me the hell alone and let us continue to build a community, I could care less. If someday they decide that only corporations can play on their platform, then we all need to move somewhere else. But I don't think they'll do that because ultimately we are the customers for those big videos too. You tell me when you log on, you don't, some thumbnail doesn't convince you to watch a video from some corporation. It happens every day to me. So I don't think they'll cut us out, and I don't get that concerned. Again, but I have no money on the line with it, so that's the other issue.
But like just kind of pointing, like for kind of like the niche smaller, like even like for like a big series like the Bond series, like there's a guy who he got he got Daniel Craig, got an interview with him, and yet the video did really well, but his subscribers, like he didn't really increase in subscribers. Like Piz still like does better, has more subscribers, so it's like even then it's like it's next to impossible to figure out how to, you always think there's an easy route to get someone super famous on, but it's never cut and dry.
It's strange, but YouTube's a strange thing because I mean I've been watching Piz since around about the 4,000 subscriber mark, and
that was not a knock against Piz. That was more
no,
saying he's able to pull more people in than getting
yeah.
Craig on your channel.
His channel, Piz's channel, he was making great content from early on. I'm not talking about the very early videos where he probably admit himself that it was quite raw, probably. But I mean, as he got when I jumped on Piz's channel, like around the 4,000 sub mark, he was making great content, but the channel wasn't really growing. And I was like, I don't understand because I'm seeing these other channels which is like gaining like massively, and I'm like, I can't understand why this guy's not gaining. And then he got to about like 7,000 subscribers. I've told him this before, and all of a sudden he was just gaining. Like all of a sudden he started gaining 1,000 subs a month, and I was like, it seems like why at some point it just I don't know. It's to do with algorithms. It must have been for some reason thousands of people were coming towards his content on a monthly basis, and his channel just started going massive, and it just seemed to happen over the space of like six months to 12 months. And
so how all algorithms work, at least media algorithms. So when something is consumed by someone, when a product is consumed, or in this case a video is watched by one individual, it means absolutely nothing, right? But when it's when that person is attached to a large group, so if that person themselves has a either is subscribed to a ton of channels or has a ton of followers, the algorithm then suggests videos based on that. But again, if the onesies don't help you, the person who watches your video that subscribes to 4 channels and has no subscribers to themselves, because remember, even just the viewers who watch your videos technically have a channel. You got to the more you get noticed by bigger channels, the more you start to see that cross promotion. So yeah, I mean, it's a long road though for everyone. And all I'd say is don't worry about size of the following. Worry about how good of a following it is. Why are they watching it? Is it we have to stop as a community worrying about covering stuff that's covered by everyone else. You get the stuff that you're really passionate about, that you love, that's what you cover. And we'll get there. We'll get there.
That's what attracts me to channels when I follow somebody or subscribe, is because of you hear the passion. Like even if I'm not really interested in what they necessarily like, I still I hear their passion, their fervor, and I'm just like, I gotta know more about this. And that's what drags me in. I'll admit, before I started listening to Lorne, I knew about Stephen King, Dean Koontz, and Ramsey Campbell, and Clive Barker, and that was pretty freaking much it. as far as horror writers. And ever since I started listening to Lauren passionately talk about all these people, I've accumulated a couple books, a couple dozen books, but it's just it catches on. Like it's all about the passion. You can't just be searching for, I don't know, not the writing, but if you just want to talk about the same thing over and over again, you're gonna go stagnant.
Well, it's amazing too because like I watch every video that Techmoan puts up, and I'm not a guy who's out there gonna buy a 45-year-old Walkman, okay? But how he presents his love for home electronics and media electronics of bygone eras, I'll watch him all day. The chances of me ever wanting any of the shit he's showing, not great. But I'm fascinated by seeing these little glimpses into people's obsessions, which is really what YouTube is. It's holding up a bunch of mirrors.
I think another thing about like being obviously like something like being a small YouTuber, like tiny YouTuber like I am on smaller YouTubers is the interaction you get with the few subscribers you do have. It's like the bigger you get, okay, you start to monetize your videos and but it's harder and harder to keep track of the fan base you've got. I mean, I do watch a few like of the big live streams that go on a weekly basis, but I really like the content, but I never try and get involved in the chat because it's just a whirl of just like comments, and they're never going to see it. Nobody, even the fellow commenters, can see it. And you have to put like a live, you have to put like a super chat on to get any sort of response. But the great thing about like the smaller channels is if you go, I mean, I'm subscribed to people who've got, they might like, a couple of hundred subscribers, and if they do a live stream, it's like tonight, or there might be like 7, 10, 20, 30 people in the live chat. But the great thing about it is they're interacting with you guys, and you're interacting with the fellow people in the chat, and you're all having a conversation together. And the thing that's lost when you do become like a big YouTuber is you kind of lose that sense of that community of almost of like, you can just literally have a conversation with like 5 or 6 people, 10, 15 people. And I mean, I'm not explaining this very well. I'm trying to explain it. I think you know what I'm trying to say, right? I think Piss is at the right. Piss. I hope Piss's channel goes on to just bigger things. But he's at a point where I think he's kind of like at the right balance where he's got a great channel which he can monetize. He's not too big that he can't individually interact with the chat. If you don't have to put a super chat in. If you put a comment in, he can read it, and he's got time to read it and interact with you. I mean, 100,000 subscribers down the line, it would probably be a case of, well, it's going to be difficult,
Well, it's always like if you, going back to the chat, for this, I really didn't join. I would just be in the chat, but it's always about the questions you ask. Like even if you don't do a super chat, if you ask something that person's interested and you try to like get more information, that's going to make them perk up. That's how I got Lauren to respond to quite a few of my messages. But like, it's all about more about the quality, like the thought you put into a question or a chat. You got to think, if you ask them about the same thing over and over again, they're probably going to ignore it because they've seen it before and they feel like they've answered it a dozen times before.
I just think we need to just keep in check that the most valuable thing we can do is really connect with other people that we otherwise never connect with. The rest of it, I'm sorry. I mean, it would be great if we got Christian in here to lay this down because he's in a great position to explain. Anyone who thinks that monetizing your channel is is going to allow you to quit your day job. It's just not reality. I'm not saying that no one's making good money, but inside our community with our subject matter, the more value is just in meeting people, seeing where they're at, and maybe even affecting fandom on a some level. Like, I'd like to think that, the fact that, Region Free or Piz, or, so I'll mention a title to Piz that he needs to check out, such as, going back to anything from Relic from a couple of years ago, or any film that I've suggested. Maybe he mentions it on his channel. It gets more people to watch it. That's a big win, right? And the same thing with
look at Ghostwatch Lawn.
Right, that's a good example.
You mentioned it on Sausage Factory. Piss reviewed it. It's got like 3,000 views, maybe 4,000 views.
And if and it's not about like trying to make those films make more money or something. It's about leading to people to more stuff that they would genuinely love. But we live in this echo chamber, right? I'd love to break the echo. If it's not on Shudder right now, modern horror fans just don't know it. If it's not a big franchise or on Shudder, it's just lost right now to a lot of fans. And that we have a kind of underground network where we can spread the word, I do 2 shows on my channel reoccurringly. That's the whole point of the shows, is to bring people to things that they might not otherwise find. That's the important work as far as I'm concerned, right? Because if everyone loves horror, I can't imagine you just want to watch the same titles over and over. So,
absolutely not.
And maybe I can suck some people into buying some damn books. So, not necessarily even my own, by the way. I didn't mean that quite so draconian as that sounded. It's
how dare you?
Having someone like Brian Hodge on my channel, he's my favorite living author. An incredible talent, and he is someone that's not a household name. So if I can get even a few people to pick up a copy of Prototype and both destroy and enhance their lives while reading it at the same time, then I've won something for something.
Well, before you destroy your life, read Nightlife first.
You say build up to it, huh?
Yes, build up to that destruction.
Yeah. But I think that's the important work, and YouTube getting rid of downvotes, whatever. I mean, as long as they don't. I would hate to see a world without comments, because that would affect the ability to create a community. I'd hate to see, the chats go away, because that is a place where these communities really build. As long as they don't mess with that stuff, I don't really care about upvotes, downvotes. I'm not saying people don't do it, but I am saying my bigger concern is, again, the community being able to grow up around. A while back, Steak Sauce said something really, really, really that I found pretty incredible. That, like, just people speaking up, encouraging people to do the channels, really got him convinced he should do it. MJ, same thing. MJ has explicitly said that an offhanded comment I made really helped push him to do it. That means a lot to me. That's what I think is important.
Well, the only reason I'm doing this now is because, a couple of years ago, Piz started the Patreon stream. I had no idea. I was a subscriber, didn't know what Patreon was, no idea. A few months later, watching a video, and it's, this is a Patreon stream. It's like, what? These people just subscribers to Piz, and they get to talk with him. I was like, holy shit, I'm down for that. Sign me up. So, a couple of months later, there I am in my kitchen, just talking through a mobile phone, talking to Piz and a few of you other, and talking to you, Lorne. I think you were there on the first, and I was terrified. I mean, you wouldn't tell, but the first stream, I was just absolutely terrified.
I need to watch that.
But I've
I've seen it, but I need to watch it again.
It was the beginning of lockdown actually, because
Oh,
we'd just gone to lock. I think it was about April 2020. We'd just gone to lockdown, and yeah, I was just absolutely bricking it. But 12 months later, start my own channel, doing live streams, and here we are. Dan's in the chat. What's up, Dan?
uh-oh. Dan, jump on.
I finally
probably
added the
at work.
hardcover edition of Falling Idols to my Hodge collection.
Yep.
Uh-oh. We got to talk about Hodge.
Jamie, you're the person who's meant to get my channel as well, Lauren. Without you, I wouldn't have done it. So there you go.
Uh-oh.
There's
Lauren's inspiring everybody. What the hell?
No, I don't consider myself an aspirational figure. People don't try and be me. It's not a good life.
Don't read protest every other
this
day.
comment right here, though, from Dan, is actually really, really, really important too. When the world fell apart, YouTube became important for a lot of people, not because it was videos, but because there was a chance to talk to people, even if it was a one-sided conversation, to connect in a way that has never been possible before. I can't imagine what my coronavirus years would have been like without this experience. I can't imagine. Dan wins the internet for the day, as often he does.
Do you think you would have been we went to the Louisville if
No, I mean, none of this would have happened. None of it would have happened. Listen, to an extent, it's me writing some articles for the franchise website, gets the attention of Piz. Piz invites me on. So for me, that was my entry. I never set out saying, "Hey, I want to do the YouTube thing," but you meet people. It's about people. That's what it's at the end of the day. It's about people.
And this led to you speaking. Well, you met Hodge in person, right?
I've never been in the same room as Brian.
Oh, okay.
We go way back, communicating by email and phone, but to this day we've never been in a room together.
So your channel was like the first we were able to speak to him.
Yep,
that's incredible.
And listen, it's been very selfish for me too. Like I've got to talk to so many of my heroes. I'm extraordinarily lucky to count some of them as friends now. I mean, it's insane when you get a Happy Halloween text from Ramsey Campbell. Kind of life is good, right?
That's incredible.
Yeah, unfortunately, Dan, he doesn't really do many of them, and we'd have to. If he did, he'd probably stay local. So it'd be some travel for both of us.
He'd do like a Midwest.
South Midwest, yeah. Right?
Texas Frightmare.
He'd never do one of the media-based ones. It would have to be a literary event.
Oh.
Well, what are you eyeing about? You'd love that.
Yeah, I know. I'll go. If he does a convention, I'll go.
Griff, you should really consider going to World Horror one of these years.
When does that happen? I
think it's March.
March? I'll give it a shot this year or next year, whatever year we're in. I've lost track of time.
Yeah, well, for 2 years of losing track of time. Let's see.
Yeah, it wasn't like last time he was at a convention was like 06, 08. If I remember correctly, I think he said something like 08, 06.
You know what? I'm sorry, I'm misspeaking. You want to probably go to StokerCon instead.
Oh, StokerCon.
But I don't think they have a date up for the new one, which is a little bit weird because I think that let me go to my email.
Bother a whole mess of people, but yeah, this thing, I started talking to people a lot more on this. I never really did the video thing, doing this kind of on the calls. It wasn't even really messages. I would just kind of like a video, watch a video, and that was about it. Maybe comment. So yeah, this was huge. I would have gotten stuck in a 8-hour stream with Lost Cunningham.
Timmy.
Tim, if you're watching, come back.
Yeah, where's Timmy gone?
Okay.
Sorry. Go on, Lord, sorry.
That's not correct. Go ahead, talk, because I thought I had it, but I don't.
Uh-oh. Yeah. 8-hour stream, man. Jesus.
Okay. StokerCon is May 12th through the 15th in Denver, Colorado.
Denver, Colorado. Oh, he would be there.
Yeah, it's close. Let me see if...
You used to be able to get a lot of the people who started the Bond or Hammer films were still kind of doing American before the pandemic. They would I can't remember her name, but there's quite a few of them that were doing American, at least actresses wise, from overseas.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's not a lot solidified for StokerCon yet this year.
So, Lauren, if you were ever commissioned, let's say back in the past, or even say in the, would you have written the Jason X novelization if they offered it to you?
Well, that's a stupid question, isn't it?
I know. I just wanted to get you to start talking.
If that line had continued, I would have pitched it constantly until they let me in. Here's the caveat. If they said you can write a Jason X novel, but you have to write an Elm Street one first, would you do it? Yeah, I mean, it depends on how. Listen, if they want a color by number Nightmare on Elm Street novel, then probably not. They let me do whatever the hell I want, sure. I don't think, as much as I don't like any but the original film in that franchise, that doesn't mean there's not something you could do with it. I mean, it might piss off all the fans, but whatever.
It would have a lot of bad good reads. It'd be at 1%. Which is if you go to Lauren's Goodreads, his ratings, just bomb them with 1 stars. There's too many 5s on there.
Thanks for that, Griff, because not like it's a professional situation here, not shits and giggles, right?
Yeah, but no. Lauren's doing good all thumbs up. But yeah, it was weird. They alongside those X novels, they were doing Elm Streets. They did 3 or 4 of those.
Well, there was a Friday 13th line, a Nightmare on Elm Street line, a Jason X line, and believe it or not, a Final Destination line.
Those books go for a lot of money, don't they?
All those Black Flame novels, they're all insane.
Too bad that no one could capitalize on those except for third party.
They'll never be reprinted, so because it's a rights.
Not even digitally.
It's a rights problem.
Ugh.
No, those novels, if you want them, you have to pay the price.
Ooh.
I will say Nancy Kilpatrick's work in the line is pretty great. So, but you're gonna pay $100 for a paperback. I mean, that's just how it is.
Ooh. But I just want to let everyone know I was just joking. 5-star review on all Lauren's books, even if you haven't read them.
I'm not sure if that's the right move either, but
I'm just giving all kinds
how about they read a book at some point? That's more important to me.
Buy the damn thing at least.
Yeah, they make great gifts. for people you don't like.
Be the what did you say the one time it was you were the action figure of a horror writers?
Probably said something like that. You know, it's funny because it's not about me at all. It's just that I think that like we have all these great stories that have been published over the last 120 years or something in the genre. And just a fraction of them have been made into films, or a fraction of them remain in print. And I just think that if you love the genre, you just owe yourself to not cut off one place that has been consistently giving original ideas for, again, over a century.
I know, right?
Open yourself up. It won't be painful.
People, read James Herbert. Trust me, it'll be fun.
And on that note, I'm going to wrap things up tonight because it is 2:15.
He's tired of us
in the
now.
UK. I'm just tired. Full stop.
I'm with you, man.
It's 2:15 a.m. in the UK, so
oh shoot.
Yeah, I mean I stream late enough as it is, but there's a limit even for me. But Lord, I much appreciate your early start on Sunday. That was appreciated, man.
Oh, yes.
But
yeah, my schedule's all over the place at the moment. I started a new job. I have some other things going on that are limiting my availability. Probably right up to the end of the year. So whenever I can make it work, I'm going to try and do that.
Yeah, I'll be back on next. I might jump on Friday. I'll be definitely back next Tuesday. If you're available, Law, next Tuesday, I wouldn't mind talking a little bit more about Ice Star Counting, because it was, I'm not going to go into it now because
as time goes on, it's making a deeper impact.
Well, it's just that I'm not going to go into it now because obviously we want to wrap things up. But it's just that there are elements of that film which I think, from a British perspective, that I can give that maybe an American audience can't really relate to. So I didn't really want to go into it too much, because I didn't want to bore people. It's just more little things maybe you might appreciate. You probably know yourself, but I wasn't going to start going into too much of a deep dive. But there's little things about that film which specifically to England, at that time, which, okay, it was a bit before my time, but I can relate to it from like mum and dad and that, and certainly that late 60s feel. But I'll definitely be live streaming next Tuesday, possibly Friday night. But once again, Lorne, thanks for jumping on. Griffin, as always, mate, thanks a lot.
No problem.
Everyone in the chat.
Thank you for showing up, everybody. Dan, Dan.
Don't forget to leave a like,
Sean,
guys.
Big Crack Rock. We appreciate y'all showing up and taking a look at our craziness. Read some books, people.
Yeah, leave a like, guys. Bye, guys. See you later.